Competitive duels were fun while they lasted. Cue title scene. This week pitted what is I guess supposed to be our best friend character against X-Sabers. Now for those of you who don't know, the X-Saber deck was at its peak when I first got into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh play. I remember many of times playing against that deck, getting my ass handed to me by a synchro that blows up 3 spell and traps, level 9 that can destroy everything in my hand, and then questioning my faith, realizing that the show is fake and the heart of the cards is a big load of bullshit. So for me, going into this episode, I was really curious to see how things would go. This is a deck that hadn't seen a lot of play in a while, and unlike Gem Knights, didn't really have an all too familiar winning strategy because of how long it had been. So I was curious to see how the episode would go. And how did the episode go? It was okay. Overall, I'm seeing a lot of people complaining that the kid playing X-Sabers just did the same moves over and over again. Well, that's what that deck does. Essentially, you know, I remember thinking it was a really unfair deck when it first came out. Being able to get Fulcrum Knight out really fast. Being able to keep synchroing using your blonde card guy. Doing all this and that, It was probably the first time I ever saw a deck in general for Yu-Gi-Oh! That felt really overpowered, and it was at the time. And seeing it played out here, yeah, I guess I can sort of see how things went the way they were. Because realistically, this Gogonzaka guy doesn't play spell and traps. He only plays the monsters, which ironically you can do nowadays because there are so many crazy monster effects. So I was okay with that, I suppose. I mean, what was cool about the way the Gem Knights were played and the Constellars was that we really saw the main meta strategy, and it was a showcase of what those decks were really good with. Here, all he just did was synchro and synchro all over again. And even though, yes, that is what that deck does, and I understand that, and I respect it for showing how the deck works, I would have liked a little more competitiveness to it. Like, I predicted how the duel was going to go the minute it started. It was going to be Synchro Kid would be overpowered throughout the whole thing, and then Gogonzaka would do something probably really situational and really hard to get off in the real world, just to make the ending work. And I thought that with the first two duels, even though, yes, they did show perfect situations for those other decks, those are the situations you do tend to face when you go up with them, because as we all know, luck is never on the underdog side. So, to be perfectly honest, it was just felt kind of a cheat. I mean, the kid just kept using the action cards. And even though, yes, they're action duels, so they should use action cards, the last two, the action cards didn't have as much of a presence. Like, they still felt like good, awesome duels with or without them. Of course, obviously, as I said, that scene with Yuzu lunging towards one was excellent. I never felt that, you know, the duels would have gone too differently without them. Here, though, the duel was made by the action cards, and honestly, doesn't that kind of ruin the point of getting to see these decks be used in the show? Now, maybe you disagree with me. If you do, I totally respect that, and I totally understand. Don't hate me. But it kind of felt like spoiling a chance to really show off this deck that for a lot of people really was a big impact on the way the game was played at the time. So, was I disappointed with the duel? A bit. The rest of the episode, not much else to it. I really can't get behind this Gogonzaka guy as a character. Yeah, I know he'll probably be like Tetsuo and won't have that much of a presence, and I guess he is just as ridiculous looking as Tetsuo. But there's just something I can't get behind the idea of the best friend being what looks almost old enough to be Yuya's dad. Yeah, I know in the flashback we saw they're not that far apart in age, but come on, when you think the best friend slash sidekick who's going to stand by the protagonist, always be there for him, and always help him out, do you really think some dude who looks like he needs to pay taxes? So yeah, I can't really say I found myself too invested in this one. The Synchro Kid was kind of fun, and I really did like the jokes that between Xyz User and Mexican Satsuki, yeah, that's what I'm calling her from now on, and I actually hope we do get to see these characters in the future. Their little gags together were a lot of fun. I like the fact that she sassed him about being the only one that lost. I like that carried over. I like that was really the only comedy of the episode. I thought even though it was kind of cheap and convenient, the way Gogonzaka tied it was kind of fun. And it was nice to see it more than just be that one ultimate card that does things. But from there, just kind of not a bad episode. It's not like we're going backwards in quality. It just sort of felt throwaway. Again, the minute the episode started, I kind of pieced together, it's probably going to be he's going to tie and Yuya's going to fight hipster Kaiba in the next episode. I mean, that looks cool, but that just sort of means the episode was just build up for that, in which case, what was really the point? And I would have liked to have seen X-Sabers got a little more, maybe see more of their cards be used in the strategies I remember. But, again, I can't complain too much. It was a decent episode, mostly just sort of a throwaway one. The most important part is the last 5 minutes, when our main villain is like, no, we must settle this because I'm so obviously the villain. It's obvious she's the bad guy, but I can't help but laugh at the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is almost going, what feels almost like a female Bond villain on our asses. So overall, okay episode. I had a nice enough time with it. And what do you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this episode. Now, let's do something. What was the deck that was meta when you first started getting into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh? Or, if you're not really into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, what's like a big meta deck that just irritates you in however you get your dual action in? And as always, click to like and click to subscribe because next episode is big. It's DDD's something or other.